Okay, so your task is going to be to create a stained glass window by graphing linear equations. So you're writing your task down in your math notes. Okay, there's a couple of steps that we're going to be following in order to make sure that we are graphing things correctly. You are going to... So we're not creating a stained class. We are creating a stained glass window.
Wow.
And you're going to be setting yourself a right brain goal and a left brain goal. So the right is on top, the left is on the bottom. Thinking in terms of math, right? So you know you're going to be creating a stained glass window. Our goals could be very different for math than they would be for something like language arts, right? You probably are not going to have a goal of message and theme. This one is colors, shapes, and sizes. We talked about message and theme. The left, the bottom, is what's happening, who, when, and how, what's important and why, sequence of events, places. I don't remember exactly what that one is. Problems, issues, and actions. Yeah. How, next, and why, and then a connection to me. So you're going to be picking a right brain goal and a left brain goal. With your AB partner, you are going to talk about, you're going to talk about what your goal is. Okay, so here's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to explain things to you, and then we'll talk about a couple of options and expectations. Okay, so you are going to get a sheet that has this on the top. So what you need to know is that you are going to, for each of these boxes, so there are 4 boxes, you are going to pick 3 of these, and then you are going to be writing in coordinate pairs, right? So some of them you're going to pick the x, some of them you're going to pick the y, and others of them you've got an equation, a linear equation to solve in order to get your y. The thing is that you may not go beyond 10 in any of your answers. Okay, so I can't have beyond 10 in my x, I can't have beyond 10 in my y, and none of my y's in the second 2 boxes here can be equal to more than 10. And the reason that they can't be equal to more than 10 is that we're going to be working on a Cartesian plane, and it only goes to 10, positive 10 to negative 10. Okay, so we're going to walk you through what that looks like. So you've got 2 options. The first option is that you're going to pick the highlighted ones, the ones that are highlighted here, and we're going to be working through these together today. The second option is to challenge yourself and do all 24. Okay? So you can do all 24 in order to challenge yourself. Here are the expectations. So in order to fully meet the expectations, you have to have all 12 equations done correctly. You're going to have all points plotted correctly on the graph, and we're going to be providing that for you. All lines are going to be Sharpied. It must be done so that we can see the line. So a thicker Sharpie is what you're going to be using. It's going to be black. Your equations have to be written above the line, so that's right on the line, and your window is going to be fully colored, either in marker or in pencil crayon really darkly. There is no light shading. The second thing that you could do also, this is to get a 4, right? To be fully meeting expectations. To be exceeding expectations, you have to have 24 equations done correctly, and all the other points are the same. Okay? So all points have to be properly done. All lines have to be Sharpied. Equations are written on each line. The window is fully colored. So basically, the only difference between a fully meeting and exceeding expectations in this case is going to be the extra 12 equations that you're going to be solving. Okay? And I promise you that 6 of the extra 12 are really, they don't take any work whatsoever, right? It's really, really straightforward. The other 6 are going to be a little bit more challenging, and we're going to be walking through how that's going to look. Okay, so we're going to hand out the sheets, and don't do anything except for put your name and division on there, and then we're going to go from there. Here is what you need to know in your math notes. Okay, so some of the numbers are going to end up being negative. And when we were working with integers, we actually didn't multiply integers because it is so incredibly straightforward that I can spend 3 minutes with you right now. You're going to write down these 3 rules, and by the end of that, you should know how to multiply with integers. Okay. When we're multiplying, regardless as to what the sign is in front, you multiply like you normally would. Okay. When we have a positive number and a positive number, this one is last because it is so straightforward. Anytime that we're multiplying a positive number and a positive number, what is our answer always going to be? Positive. It's going to be a positive number. Positive times a positive gives you an answer of a positive. Whatever 5 times 2, positive 5 times positive 2 gives you positive 10. Right? Okay. A negative number times a negative number ends up with a positive number. Okay? You got to think about this as well. When we use the same idea in English. If I don't not like something, it's a double negative phrase. If I don't not like something, do I like it or do I not? I don't not like it. I don't not like it. Hands up. If I don't not like something, what is it? Do I like it or do I not?
You don't. You do.
I do.
What?
Because I don't not. I don't not like it. In other words, I do like it. It actually, when we write, we have to be really careful when we're writing. It takes the brain an extra 8 seconds to process a double negative, which is why it takes you a little bit longer. So a negative times a negative, just like it would when we're speaking it in English, it becomes a positive. So if I have a negative 5 times a negative 2, what's my answer going to be? I multiply 5 times 2 like I normally would, and then I look at the signs. It's positive 10. Okay? Negative 2 times negative 5 gives you positive 10. Negative times a negative gives you a positive. And 5 times 2 gives you 10, just like it always has. That hasn't changed. Okay. The third one. Negative number times a positive number is a negative. Okay? So if I have negative 5 times positive 2, when I have a mixture of signs, the negative wins out. Okay? Not overly complicated stuff. Right? So negative 5 times positive 2 gives me what? Negative 5 times positive 2. What does it give me? Negative 10. What? What about positive 5 times negative 2? What's positive 5 times negative 2? Positive times a negative. 5 times 2. What is it? Negative 10.
Wait, you just...
No. So if I have a positive sign and a negative sign, I'm going to come up with the negative answer. And the reason that we're doing this is because we're going to be working in all 4 quadrants of the Cartesian plane. So some of our answers are going to be negative. So when we have some of our formulas that we're going to be working with, our linear equations, some of them are going to have a negative number to them. So we have to be reminded of our integers. Okay, the other thing, you're going to have to be adding with integers, right? So sometimes we're going to start in the negative and we're going to end up in the positive. So here's what we are starting with. And you had highlighted a number of them. So the first ones are really, really straightforward. What you have to understand is that you are working down in columns. Okay, you're working down in columns. So you're looking at your sheet. Okay, and you needed to do 3 from here, and I told you which 3 they were. So for the first one, x equals -5. Second one, x equals 2. And the third one, x equals 9. We are going to be plotting 3 points for each of these equations. So, x equals -5, what's going to be in my x column? If x equals -5, what's going to be in my x column? It's going to be -5, and I'm going to have that written down 3 times. What you're going to have here for your y column, because I want things to be spread out a little bit, you're going to have at least 1 positive and 1 negative. Remembering that you're going to go anywhere from -10 to +10. You cannot go beyond those 2 numbers. So what's an example that we could have for our y column? You're just picking numbers. Anything from +10 to -10. At least 1 positive and 1 negative. What could be an example? Okay. I need a negative example.
-3.
Another example.
-5.
Okay? Can be anything. The next one. Shockingly, I'm going to have 2, 2, and 2. Again, I want at least 1 positive and 1 negative for the rest of your y. Okay? 1 positive and 1 negative, and the 3 is totally up to you. But you have to have 1 positive number and 1 negative number. And then for the third one down there, it's the x is going to be the x is going to be 9, 9, and 9. You're going to tell me what the y is, at least 1 positive and 1 negative number. Remembering that you cannot go beyond 10. Okay? So, for the next one, y equals -9. Your x, you're going to decide 2 positives and at least 1 positive and 1 negative, and your y is going to be -9, -9, -9. Okay, so you're picking positive and a negative, and then one of your choice. Right? So you can have 2 positives and a negative, 2 negatives and a positive, it doesn't matter. At least 1 negative and 1 positive for each of your x's now.
But I put like +12, right?
You can not put +12, no, because you have to be within 10 to 10. You cannot put anything above a 10. You may not put anything above the number 10. Okay, and by now, you should have that finished. Because you're just randomly putting numbers in there. 10 to 10. I'm going to be giving you the x-coordinate for these ones. I'm going to be giving you the x-coordinate for these ones just to make sure that we are making things that are possible, right? It would not be good to do all the work and then realize that your x-coordinate doesn't work because your answer is bigger than 10, which would mean that you would have to start all over again. That could be very frustrating. So, we're going to work through this equation. So now if I have 2x minus 7, my x is 0. I'm just going to plug the 0 in where that x is, right? We did this when we were working with algebra. So I have 2 times 0 minus 7. What is 2 times 0? 2 times 0.
0.
What is 0 minus 7? Remember, we can go into the negative numbers here, right? 0 minus 7, negative 7. So if x is 0, y is negative 7. Okay? negative 1. So now I've got 2 times negative 1 minus 7. What is 2 times negative 1? You think 2 times 1, what's 2 times 1? Yeah, 2. And then I'm multiplying a positive and a negative. So my answer isn't 2, it is? It's negative 2. So I've got negative 2 minus 7. So I owe $2 and I lose 7 more. How much do I owe in total?
You owe $2 and you get 7 more?
No, I lose 7 more.
Oh.
How much money do I owe?
-5? No, you owe $5.
No?
Okay.
Negative 9. Okay? And then now I'm going to be plugging that 4 in. Okay, so I've got 2 times 4 minus 7. You got to think about what's 2 times 4. Get your answer. Minus 7. What is your final answer? What's your final answer? 1. We're going to go down. So this one is going to work the same way. I'm going to give you the x coordinates. We're not going to give you time to do this one right now because I'd like to show you how to do the next one, which is a little bit different again. Okay, so I'm going to give you your x. So 2, you're going to fill in that x with a negative 5. Okay, remember that a positive times a negative gives you whatever. And then you're going to be adding 18. We're going to be looking at this next one. And this one is very important that you have the right coordinates because otherwise you could end up with a decimal and that is no fun. God forbid that when you get your little sheet, you're going to be required to find 1/16 of that little square. Right? So I'm going to give you the coordinates so that we make sure that it doesn't end up happening that way. So we're going to take a look at this one right here. Okay, so I've got 1/4 times x minus 6. Okay, I know that my first one, I'm going to be putting, don't give me that look, I'm going to be putting 4 into where that x is. So I've got 1/4. I know I'm going to be multiplying. How would I show 4 as a fraction? So now you're thinking back to the fall. How do I show 4 as a fraction? What do I do? How do I show 4 whole as a fraction? 4 over 1. Okay? So I show that as, you need to be paying attention. You might want to be writing this down somewhere underneath it so that when you get to one of your y ones, which is this one, you're going to be doing 1/4 again. Okay, so you're going to need to know. So, and when I get to this point, I can just multiply straight across and I end up with 4 over 4. What can be 4 over 4 be reduced by? What can be reduced down to 1? We can reduce it to 4, yeah. So I end up with 1 over 1. So this 1/4 of x becomes 1. So I have 1 minus 6. I've got 1. It's going to be less than 0. Remember, I'm going, my number line, you're thinking back to before spring break, I've got 1. I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what am I ending up at? 1, positive 1, minus 6. What am I ending up at? I end up at negative 5. So if x is 4, I'm going to end up at negative 5. We're going to give you a minute or two to do the next 2 here. And as you are doing that, I'm going to fill in the rest of this. are going to need to have written down. What is the answer if x is 8? What is y? For this bottom one right here. If x is 8, then what is y? What is it?
I'm just kind of guessing here,
It's -4. Better than just a guess. It's a correct answer. What about this last one? 0. If x is 0, then y is?
0.
No.
What number?
-6. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to write down the x. Oh, I'm sorry. You have not yet been dismissed. Okay, so here are your x coordinates. For homework, plug them in and figure out what your y's are equal to. We're going to go over this tomorrow to make sure that you have all the right answers before we continue.